Banfield starts now.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. It's nice to have you here on Banfield. Okay, first I want to start with this. When you can't take someone, to task criminally for stuff that they've done, proven with plenty of evidence, just statute of limitations, what kind of punishment does, the culture get to exact on someone? Like Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Sean Puff Daddy Combs, right? We've all seen him beating the living daylights out of his girlfriend at the time, years and years ago, so many years ago. Unfortunately, there's nothing the law can do about it. But that's the law. What about us? What can we do about it? What power do we have over a guy like Diddy, who's just skating under the statute of limitations? Good for you. No prison. Nope. No prison for that violent assault. Well, there is that whole thing about cultural implications. I'm talking Bill Cosby. Right? Talking Lance Armstrong. I'm talking OJ. They never got invited to a party after what they done. No more parties. No more Met Gala. No more Grammys. No more Oscars. No more fancy people. No more fancy acceptance. Is that where P. Diddy is headed? All this as we were thinking it through today, and shazam, another lawsuit dropped. Another woman saying, he did it to me too. Going to have all that for you in just a moment. And then Britney Spears and the Free Britney movement. Every day we're seeing more evidence of her on Instagram looking completely unhinged. Every day we're hearing more stories of those who say they're close to her saying she's in big trouble and that the only solution is to go back to the conservatorship that millions of people screamed she needed to be freed from. Tonight I talked to Perez Hilton, a guy I've known for a long time, like his reporting, I like his dogged work. He was one of the big proponents of the Free Britney, and I cannot wait to find out how he feels now about Britney and what is best for her. Perez is coming up in just a moment. And then in the Micah Miller story, I say this every night. I say, I thought it was over. Every night I keep saying, I think the story's over. The police gave us the evidence saying it's unequivocal. She took her own life. She bought the gun by herself. She called 911 by herself, said where she was because she wanted to take her life, and then the gun went off. And then every day there's something new. Like today, the last person to see her alive tells what he saw. Micah Miller stopped to fill up with gas. Why are you filling up with gas if you're about to take your own life? Why do you need to fill the car if you're about to take your own life? Not only that, what about where she was actually discovered? Yesterday we showed you the fisherman and what he saw and where he found her things. Today we have exclusive information on the exact spot where her body was found. And there's some talk that it is impossible, the way her body was found, the water that was around her, where the casings were, that she could have done it herself. All of that is coming in just a moment, but I just want to start here. I like music. And the hits, well, they just keep on coming, but certainly not the kind that made Sean Diddy Combs a pop icon. Pop icon, culture icon for 3 decades. And a billionaire also, right? There's that part. He's a billionaire. These hits are the kind instead that destroy icons and drain fortunes. And the latest tonight is a doozy. Yet another lawsuit. This would be number 7 if you're keeping score. 7 in 6 months, too. Pace is going up. Lawsuits accusing P. Diddy of sexual assault and various arrays of misconduct. This latest one, number 7, was filed just today in federal court in New York by a former would-be model named Crystal McKinney.
Hi, I'm Crystal McKinney from Savannah, Georgia. I won MTV and IMG's model mission for 1998.
That's McKinney, and she claims that Diddy assaulted her back in 2003 when she was just 22 years old. She says she met him at a Men's Fashion Week event in New York. She was there apparently trying to get a job. She said she accepted his invitation to go back to the music studio. Where there, she says he allegedly gave her a joint laced with some kind of other drug. She says he then forced her into a bathroom to perform oral sex on him, even though she says she tried to refuse. And afterwards, she says she passed out and came to in a taxi. There's no word yet from Diddy. No word yet from Diddy's lawyers on all of this. But if the other suits are any indication, well, wait for it. We might expect a concrete denial on this one and maybe a few attacks on Ms. Kinney's character. Maybe the accusation she's just a money-grubbing liar, because that's what was said of the others. Unless, of course, any of this turns up on video. Video, you know, like Diddy's despicable 2016 attack on his then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura at that LA hotel, in that LA hotel hallway. When that victim lying on the ground right there being huffed repeatedly by Diddy, when she filed her lawsuit against Diddy last fall, and pretty much described all of this before we ever saw any video, he called her a liar, said the lawsuit was a money grab. Still, he settled it the next day, very next day, but after CNN aired that video, he put out the full-on crocodile tear type of apology, though not one apology directed or even mentioning Cassie Ventura herself.
I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
You hit rock bottom. I'm going to go out on a limb here. Diddy, I don't think rock bottom has hit yet. Now, of course, other pictures and other videos are coming to light, or they're getting a second look, including these images we found of Cassie with visible bruising at a movie premiere just 2 days after you took the boots to her in that hotel hallway. She is smiling there, and she is at Diddy's side, and the couple did stay together off and on for another 2 years. And when Diddy received the Lifetime Achievement Award from BET back in 2002, long after they'd split, he actually ended up thanking Cassie by name.
I was in a dark place for a few years, you know what I'm saying? And I have to give a special thank you, shout out, thank you, all that love. I got to give a special thank you to the people that was really like there for me. Bishop T.D. Jakes, my chief of staff, Christina Coram, and also Cassie for holding me down in the dark times.
The dark times. The dark times back then, yeah. I just keep wondering if the dark times stretched forward to November, because that was when you called Cassie a liar and the others money grubbing. Were those dark times too? If BET wants their award back, they have not yet said so, but others have, like New York City officials who are considering taking back the key to the city that they gave them back in September. New York is Sean Puffy Combs' hometown. There's also word that the streaming business, streaming of Diddy's songs, has hit the skids, dropping by more than half since those lawsuits began. And just yesterday, Peloton scrubbed all of Diddy's music from their platform. See that slope just keeps on sliding down to where I think might be rock bottom or dark, dark days. As for that apology, here is a pro tip for all them miscreants who haven't yet been outed. Timing is everything. Timing is everything. Admissions and apologies and regrets and rehab and all the rest. It's like a formula. Those tend to really ring hollow for the rest of us when they happen after you're busted. And even if you never, ever go to jail, which, by the way, that is not out of the question yet when it comes to Diddy and his sitch, you certainly may end up in cultural Siberia. Just ask Lance Armstrong. That guy denied doping for years. He even sued people who accused him and won those lawsuits. But ultimately, he got caught doping and cycling. Where is he now? How about another famous rock bottomer, O.J. Simpson? acquitted of criminal murder, but pretty much doomed to live out his days surrounded mostly by hangers-on, ne'er-do-wells, and thugs. Got him into a lot of trouble in Vegas, too, where he ended up having to do some time. Then there's this fella, Bill Cosby, accused by over 100 women of rape. Skated in the criminal case, but who is he now, really? Persona non grata. Mostly, I would have to say, kind of the butt of jokes, Bill Cosby. Certainly not killing it on the comedy scene, even at his age. Is Diddy on track for the same? No more Met Galas. No more white parties in the Hamptons that he loved to host. No more Grammys, Oscars, Emmys, Golden Globes. Is that where he's headed? Is that where he should be headed? How do you feel about this? Is there anything in the world of punishment that he can get if it isn't bars? For that, I turn to the human Wikipedia of the hip-hop world. DJ Vlad is a journalist and the creator of the Vlad TV YouTube channel, where he keeps his more than 5 million subscribers up to date on the latest in hip-hop and in sports entertainment. And he's been a regular on this show. I'm really glad to have you back. Thank you for doing this, Vlad. You know, you probably were listening along. I can't wait to get your take on the situation, but also what I just said.
Well, the video is horrific. There's really no way around it. She was trying to get away, and he was the 100% aggressor. He threw her violently down on the ground, kicked her, dragged her back. There's really no explanation that you could really give for something like this. She was clearly trying to get away, regardless of what happened in the room before that. So,
and then there's the new lawsuit, right? Now we got a new one. Got a new one that's come out, and I'm daring to say here, maybe others will now feel empowered to come forward because they didn't want to be called liars before. And now, if you were a liar once, you're probably a liar again, Diddy.
There's going to be a bunch of lawsuits. I think the lawsuits are going to follow him for the rest of his days. Some of them will be dismissed. Some of them will be settled. Some may go to court. I doubt it, but I think the majority of them will be settled. And ultimately, Diddy's going to have to live with what happened. But the reality of the way media works these days is if you look at the Chris Brown situation, he went through something very similar with Rihanna. And there was a lot of uproar at the time, but eventually Chris Brown went to, back to being Chris Brown. So we'll see what happens in the future.
The difference, though, Vlad, I have to say with Chris Brown, is that there were no pictures of Rihanna being beaten in that.
There was a picture. There was a very serious
She was photographed with bruises later, but there was no video of the assault taking place, right? And she refused to be, she refused to be a witness against him. And that's the big difference. Yeah. We now have been able to watch this man just viciously attack it. I got to ask you about this because I've seen a whole lot of comments and I'm not quite sure what to make of it. And that is, how is the hip-hop world going to digest the video, not the accusations? We've already heard how that goes down. But the video of watching one of their heroes acting like a piece of filth. Are they going to think the same thing, that he's a piece of filth?
Yeah, I think most people look at that video and unanimously think it's absolute garbage behavior. That's unanimous. But your question is what's going to happen in the future. And I think we've seen these types of things play out time and time again. And you're right, there is no video of Rihanna. But the damage that was done to Rihanna was probably worse than what was done to Cassie. Both of her eyes were blacked and bruised. Like it's almost like she couldn't even open her eyes.
Well, Cassie had a black eye. Cassie said she had a black eye, and that's why she was running from the hotel room. And we all know, me in particular, I know there's plenty of makeup tricks that I've done it before. I've covered up a black eye that I got from cycling, and I was on the air. No one noticed a thing. So we don't know what Cassie looked like because she kept her mouth quiet. She didn't say a word, and she stayed with him, as many abused women do. Can I ask you this? Do you think Diddy, look, he's a billionaire, right? Sue him all you want. It's barely going to make a dent. But do you think Diddy is going to go the same route as the Armstrongs, who were kings, untouchable? Bill Cosby, untouchable in comedy. Is he going to go the same route as the OJs of the world and be shunned and live out the rest of his life with whoever the hangers-on will be?
I think it really depends on whether he stops working or not. I feel that if you really want to cancel somebody, there's only 3 ways to do it. You have to kill them. You have to put them in prison for a long period of time, at least 10 years or so. Or you have to convince them in some way or another for them to stop creating new content. In the case of OJ, he fell from the public eye, just kept to himself. Bill Cosby stopped putting out anything. But someone like a Chris Brown continued to put out a lot of product, and people started to really gravitate towards it. Same thing happened with R. Kelly. After the underage tape was circulating, he continued to be, to make bigger hits than he ever has. Kanye was canceled a year ago. Nobody wanted to work with him. And suddenly he had the #1 song in the country a year later. You've seen this Phoenix effect over and over again. So you could say that he's done forever, and he may be done. If he decides to be done himself, then he may be done. But if he continues to put out things that people like, whether it's music, movies, television, maybe start a church and go that religious direction, and, play up that part of, I fell from grace and this is why you should follow me because everyone has problems. You never know.
That video will dog him forever. It's one of those pieces of evidence that is lacking in all those other cases. Going to dog Chris Brown. Yeah. It absolutely will. Hey, DJ Vlad, not the last time I'm going to call you back to the show. Love your perspective and love that you keep coming back. Thanks for this.
Thank you for having me.
Much appreciated. And you know what? I guess it remains to be seen. Have we progressed? What did Me Too do? Will he just, get invited back to those parties? I am not finished yet with troubled A-list entertainers, so don't go anywhere, because next up we're talking Britney Spears and how her very worried friends and loved ones are no longer shouting "Free Britney." Instead, they are crying out for another conservatorship. They say it is not to save her career. It is not to save her money. They say this time it is to save her life. Joining me live after the break, this man, Perez Hilton. Nobody better to help me unpack Britney's apparent descent into troubled times. This man knows all, and he's next. I am not going to lie. Lately, I have kind of started to read the Britney Spears updates, like through my fingers. I think mostly because I'm afraid of what I might see one day. Every couple of days, it seems that either Britney shares a little piece of herself that's unstable, sometimes outright scary, oftentimes just flat out bizarre, or people close to her let it be known how worried they are for her health and her safety. They worry that she's off the rails, that she's not taking her meds, that she's taking drugs she shouldn't be taking, and that she's drinking too much, getting violent. That unsavory people are controlling her at this point. And most distressing, they are worried that Britney is a knife's edge away from harming herself or maybe harming others. Here is just a little glimpse at her Instagram feed, just in the past couple of days.
Douce France, cher pays de mon enfant.
Number one is a teen roller. It's like, honestly, you put it in the refrigerator and it makes your eyes like pop so big. And you're like, I woke up like this, but you really didn't. It's because of this. And it's really, really cool.
That little face treatment video just posted this morning, and it is the only clip of Britney's actual voice that she's posted on Instagram this entire year. And she posted it a day after the reports emerged that people in her tight inner circle are pleading to reinstate the conservatorship that she was under for more than a decade. I want to bring in Perez Hilton. He is the go-to guy on celebrity news with millions and millions of followers on X and Facebook and Instagram. He hosts daily live updates on his YouTube channel and the Perez Hilton podcast. Great to see you again. I think it's been, it's been over 5 years, I think, since we've spoken.
too long.
I agree, too long. So I'm just dying to get your take, because I know you were very supportive of the Free Britney movement. I, on the other hand, was not. I always felt that she was kept safe and that all the critiques that used to just fly around wildly weren't always founded in fact. But tell me what you think about what we're seeing in this last 2 years.
Well, I think I want to speak for myself only and not any movement. And I want to share that it seems to me, while not being a doctor, that yes, Britney Spears is struggling with mental health issues. That's not the question. The question is, should she be forced to get help if she doesn't want to get help? And I could ask the same of any other person that might have mental health issues or might have alcoholism or drug abuse disorder. It's clear from what I've been told and what I've read that Britney does not trust doctors. I corroborate what TMZ reported, that she is not taking medication. And many people over the last 2 years, especially her ex-husband, Sam Asghari, did and have been trying to help Britney Spears, and she just isn't receptive to that.
I guess it's hard to, come to a determination of what the answer is here. We're all entitled to suffer from mental health disorder without being placed in a conservatorship. Absolutely. The only difference is that she had struggled for many years going into the conservatorship, and it was seen at the time as necessary to save her from herself, not just medically and physically, but also financially, that there were just parasites who were latching on and bleeding her dry. Again, we don't have the right to have someone protect us from parasites in our life, but she has shown such a pattern of self-destruction. It seems from those close to her that she's just reemerged in that same pattern. Do you see a difference this time around than what led to her being placed under the conservatorship in the first place?
None whatsoever. It really feels like the worst case of deja vu from her awful picker in choosing men. This new boyfriend of hers is somebody that's had many run-ins with the law and, according to reports, has around 10 children and is not very present and financially stand-up father to, the reports from this week of her abusing drugs. It's sad, but I still don't think a conservatorship is the solution. I have a theory of something that I think could hopefully work, but it's asking a lot of young men. Britney is estranged from her whole family, everyone, including her sons. But I do think if her two sons, one is 18, the other one is going to turn 18 very soon, if they moved back or if she moved to Hawaii, where they're currently living, I really think her kids can help her get to a stable and healthier place.
That's a really good point. I often think of that, Perez. The boys are 18 and 17, and the reason I think of it a lot is because they were born the exact same times that my kids were born. I have an 18 and a 17-year-old. And I thought about, would they potentially be great legal guardians for her? It's awfully young. And the fact that they haven't lived with her for a long time and have probably a lot of resentment, I almost hearken to the Wendy Williams story, where there's plenty of accusations that maybe even Wendy's son might have been the reason that she needed a conservatorship. We just don't know. Does that ever sort of factor in for you as well? The fact that they really don't even know her very well anymore. They've grown up kind of without her.
Well, the maternal figure in their life is Kevin Federline's wife, his wife of many years, who is their stepmother. I echo your concerns. However, she's currently surrounded by enablers and employees. Every single person right now in her life, in some way, is financially connected to her. I don't believe, I'm not told, that she has real friends. And even her real friends like Paris Hilton, because of who she is, her A-list stature, her icon level of celebrity, they're afraid of giving her tough love because they don't want to be cut out from her life. She needs her sons, or at least her mother or her sister. She needs family. And it's so unfortunate that there's a major estrangement. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt that way all along, that she needs the family, and, you know, whatever happened between them, it was proven in a court of law that Jamie Spears was not siphoning money away illegally. He was literally paying for an extraordinarily expensive legal setup to protect her, you know, from herself. And I have this grave fear that those who are sycophantically around her may very well fuel and funnel all sorts of drugs her way, and maybe even cajole her into changing her will to leave them with everything that's left over. And that's sort of one of the reasons I go towards the conservatorship route, because sometimes people aren't just there to have the fun that comes along with being with a celebrity. They're there literally to take over that celebrity and then hope that the celebrity goes away. Do you have any fear that that's... Look, I'm not casting that aspersion on Paul Richard Solis, the felon who is allegedly running her life, but I just go to that place.
Ashleigh, you're saying things that I have also said. I literally verbalize that the boyfriend is probably trying to get Britney Spears pregnant, and Britney is probably happily trying to get pregnant as well. She has said herself that she's wanted to have more children. She was pregnant with Sam Asghari, her ex-husband, but suffered a miscarriage. And I don't think having another child right now in her current state is the solution or would be a positive for Britney Spears.
Oh, dear Jesus, boy, oh boy, your lips to God's ear. I mean, a woman like this has no business having a newborn around at this point, not until things are stabilized, if they will be ever. Perez Hilton, thank you for being on the show. Come back again, early and often.
I'd love to. Thank you.
That's terrific. I'm glad to reconnect with you. It's been too long. Perez Hilton joining us tonight. Coming up next, Micah Miller was laid to rest weeks ago, but the questions and the suspicions and the resentment surrounding her death, well, those are anything but quiet. Coming up, an exclusive interview with the last person to see Micah alive. Did he notice anything out of the ordinary at this moment, just hours before she died? The Micah Miller death investigation was supposed to be settled by now. 2 weeks ago, the investigators released a video of Micah alone buying the handgun that fired the fatal shot. And they also released that 911 call in which Micah announces her plan very calmly to the operator to kill herself, wanting the operator to know the location so her family can find her. But that is still not enough for Micah's family to accept that she and she alone, the troubled wife and apparently abusive South Carolina pastor, is responsible for her own death. The family says this new exclusive video of the exact spot where Micah died proves that she could not have shot herself, citing the lack of current that's moving the water and the position of the bullet casings. Tonight, we're also hearing from the very last person to see Micah alive. He's an employee at a gas station where Micah stopped on her way to the North Carolina park where she was eventually found dead. NewsNation's investigative correspondent Rich McHugh has been on this story and breaking a lot of leads. He joins me now with that last part. So let's talk a little, Rich, about the video that you have of that exact spot where Micah was found dead. Last night you showed us the fisherman and the exact spot where he found her things, and it is not the same as where her body was found. What is significant about the spot where her body was found?
Well, this is video that was provided by her family to us, and it basically shows, if you're looking at the video, on screen left at the very top of the video, this is where authorities say were the shell casings, multiple shell casings, and a live round, and where she ultimately took her life. Where the flowers are downstream, this is not even a stream, this is stagnant water. That is where her body was found. And her family's position is that, look, this water is not moving. This is stagnant. There's no way her body came all the way down from up on the screen left all the way down to over here. Now, we still don't know where in relation to this, to where we were last night outside in the boat, where exactly this is and where this part meets. But this is deep into this area, this cypress forest that the family walked there. They said that to get there, you had to walk through knee-deep water for 20 to 30 feet. Talked to her friends. They said Micah would not do this. She was wearing her work outfit. None of this makes sense. The family's saying, look, this is evidence that she did not, they believe this is staged. She did not take her life, Ashleigh.
It's fascinating. I keep saying the same thing. I would never wade into something like that. I'd be afraid of gators or critters or something, or filth. I would
this
just be...
This is gator country.
But then again...
This is gator and snake country.
Right. Yeah, and not only that, but, you know, it would just be... Look, I get it. If you're going to take your own life, maybe you're not thinking rationally anyway, would be the argument against that. But it does seem so odd to wander out into that bayou-like body of water to ultimately take your life. So let's talk about the other unique information that you learned, and that is that Micah stopped for gas, which again is odd. Why would you fill up your tank if your plan was to take your life moments later? But she stopped for gas and she stopped to get a drink before she ended up in that park. And you've been able to speak to the person who might be the last person to speak with her and see her alive.
Yeah, so this is in Mullins, South Carolina, which is about, I believe, about 40 minutes from here. It's also out of the way from, if you're going a straight line to get to this state park in North Carolina. But I went there, I talked to the owner, I asked him, you know, what she did. She basically came there for 10 or 15 minutes. He said she got an energy drink. But let's hear it in his own words.
Her car was parked over here.
Yep.
And she used the restroom and pull up and just come around and pull up over here to this pump.
That's where she got gas?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
She was here about like 10 or 15 minutes?
Somewhere there.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at the video, it tells all the time, you know, how long she stayed. Yeah, I can say about approximately 10, 15 minutes.
And nothing struck you as unusual?
Nothing. Not at all.
Did she look like she was waiting for somebody here?
No. Not at all. She got the drink, came outside, used the restroom, the party powder, got her gas, and she was left.
Just an ordinary day?
Nothing special, nothing, you know, like just regular day, regular thing.
Now, there's several things that are weird about this, Ashleigh. Number one is that it's in Mullins, South Carolina, which if you go from here, Myrtle Beach, to Lumber River State Park, it's like 25 minutes out of the way, additionally. So why go there, number one, if you're going to Lumber River State Park? Number two, there's this discrepancy about receipts. People have compared receipts from the day she bought her gas and this energy drink. There were two different receipts. People don't realize that. There's not one, there's two. One for $25. They said they got a new receipt machine days later, and people are kind of losing their minds. He said, much ado about nothing. That is a non-issue.
It's fascinating, Rich. You just keep finding more unique pieces of this puzzle that just seem to make it more mysterious. Thank you for this reporting. Yeah, I kind of shake my head too. And we're going to have another exclusive interview on the program from you again tomorrow. Rich is sitting down with Micah's father and sister to review the video of where Micah's body was found. And they explain step by step why they do not believe that she killed herself.
The theory of suicide does not add up to me, because you're telling me her body floated all the way down this stagnant water. There's no logical explanation for this.
That is tomorrow night, and still to come tonight, more than a decade after a triple murder in Georgia. 4 suspects are now behind bars, and you will never guess just where and with whom one of those suspects has been hiding out all these years. Here's a hint. Hug your kids a little closer. Details next.
Stay safe. An unsung hero in a building full of everyday heroes is just how he likes it. The industrial-grade products you need. Call, click, or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
In the world of criminal justice, eventually life on the run kind of just becomes life, right? The crime you apparently got away with, like murder, for instance, becomes just a secret that you hide from the world. Or in the case of Keontae Harris, a secret that you hide from the Alabama Middle School, where you're the assistant principal. No cap. Earlier this month, Mr. Harris, as the kids call him, and 3 other suspects were arrested in connection with a triple murder. A triple murder that happened back in 2013 on the outskirts of Atlanta. The bodies of Quinones King and Rodney Cottrell were found in the back seat of a Dodge Charger, abandoned on the off-ramp of an interstate. Both of the men had been asphyxiated. The body of Cheryl Colquitt Thompson was found in the trunk of that car. She'd been strangled. Their deaths remained a mystery for 11 long years, but investigators now say the 3 victims were lured to a home, held at gunpoint, and tortured, allegedly by the 4 men now behind bars. I'm joined now by Lakita Sneed and Monica Chambliss. Lakita is the sister of victim Cheryl Colquitt Thompson and niece of victim Quinones King. And Monica is the niece of Rodney Cottrell. Thank you both so much for being on the program. If I can begin with you, Monica, was there any sign at all that an arrest was coming now 11 years after these murders?
No, we didn't have any type of sign. We didn't even know that the case was still being worked on. So everything we have learned, y'all have learned with us. There's nothing that we don't know that you all don't know.
Monica, had you ever heard of these suspects who were arrested? Had you ever heard their names before?
Only one. Only one name.
Only one.
And that would be the Thompson. Yes.
The man who was arrested with the last name Thompson. Lakita, did you ever lose hope? I mean, 11 years is a long time to wait for some kind of break in a case. Did you believe you were ever going to get justice in this case?
Yes, I always believed that we were going to get justice because the God that we serve, I know he was not going to leave us guessing forever. And I thank God that he brought everyone to light with this case.
Lakita, I read a detail that was so devastating about your sister and the way that she was found. She was in the trunk on top of all of the groceries that she apparently had just bought for her disabled son, a son that you ultimately became the mother of. It is so heartbreaking to hear that. And at the same time, I want to know from you, what would justice look like in this case?
For justice for me and my family and the Cottrell family and for my nephew, I would love to see them get the death penalty. Because you took 3 innocent lives, and now we can never see our family again. They can never hold their children again. But those murder suspects, they're able to hold their kids and was able to still live their lives for 11 years. So it's our time now. It's their time to serve. So justice got to be served.
Monica, do the investigators keep you and the other family members in the loop as to what's happening now after this shock and surprise arrest that you knew nothing about?
Yes, they have been keeping us in the loop concerning the case. They've been updating us and keeping us informed in any new findings. So they have been good about keeping us updated.
Monica, for you, same question. What would justice look like in this case?
Justice for us and for the other family would be that they all meet their judgment It could be death or it could be life in prison. We just want the justice to be served for those 4 individuals that was arrested.
Well, I can't thank you enough for sharing your story tonight, and God bless you. Our prayers go out to you and your families as you travel down this road to justice. Monica Chambliss and Lakita Sneed, thank you both so much. And still to come tonight, bizarre and disturbing new details from that double murder case in the Oklahoma Panhandle, where these 2 women were ambushed and where 5 people were arrested. We knew authorities dug up a cow pasture looking for these 2 moms, but now we know how the killers wanted to make sure these 2 women would stay buried 10 feet under forever. And it is literally chilling. Details are next. Kind of been a hot minute since we last had any updates on those murders of the 2 Kansas moms in the Oklahoma Panhandle. It's like a massive headline when it was happening, right? But now there is a new batch of court filings that reveal some unbelievably shocking detail about how these 2 moms' bodies were discovered. And don't forget, they were discovered 2 weeks after they were murdered. This is Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly. They were found in a cow pasture. Remember this? And the hole that had been dug to bury them was 10 feet deep. That much we knew, right? Allegedly, big earth mover had come in, if you want to believe the affidavits and the warrant, dug out a giant hole, said to the landowner, we're just going to move some stumps. And then the day that they were murdered, it was all filled in and the earth mover was gone. Now some new search warrants reveal that there were a few other things that were found at that murder scene, or at that burial scene. Clothing, duct tape, a ball cap, and even a sheathed knife. Also report that blood looked like it was on some of those items. But perhaps the most alarming thing, the warrants say that the bodies of Butler and Kelly were buried inside a chest freezer and that both women had been stuffed into that freezer together. Still no word on how the women were killed or whether one or more of the suspects might turn on the others. But watch this space. Cuomo starts now.
Hey, I'm Chris Cuomo, and we have something special for you tonight. You want to know what the future could look like? You want to know how great it could be? Have you heard of Neuralink? We got a guy tonight who's got technology in his brain. He's got a chip that allows him to control things in our 3D reality. This is right out of the movies. Right out of the movies.